Okay, guys, that's the bell. So we're going to get started and maybe more people will join us in a little bit. So you guys are stuck with me again today. So yay. But you guys are going to need your Chromebooks. We're taking notes again today. Hey. No, you're fine. We're taking notes. So you're just going to need your Chromebook. It should be under Unit 9. And it should say notes on wordiness. So you guys just need to have that pulled up. It'll look like this, and you'll know you're in the right place. So. Are we all good? Do we all have our notes pulled up, or does anybody need more time? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, wait. We're going to get started in like 30 seconds. That's okay. We are doing notes today, guys. It should be under Unit 9, and it should say something about wordiness. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So if I say a sentence is wordy, what do I mean? What am I saying when I say that? What do I mean? Yeah, good. So wordy sentences are sentences that contain more words than they require to clearly communicate a point or an idea. So you got an example on the board. Does anybody want to read this for me for a dojo point?
Due to the fact that the meeting lasted for a significantly longer amount of time than was originally expected, we were unable to finalize all of the agenda items.
Yeah, so does anybody have any ideas as to how we would rewrite this sentence to make it a little bit less wordy? I want you guys to keep in mind there's no right answer. That's the really great thing with English. There's no one right way to rewrite something. Yeah. Very good. Does anybody else want to give it a shot? You totally don't have to, but if you want to, you'll get a dojo point. Okay, that's okay. There will be more opportunities later. So this is how I rewrote it. Like I said, there's no like one right way to rewrite it, but I put the meeting ran long, so we couldn't finalize all the agenda items. Okay, so you didn't see that. But why is wordy writing problematic? Why is it an issue whenever you have wordy sentences in our writing?
It can make it harder for the reader to know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yes, very good. Any other ideas? That's really good, though. You're correct.
What about the context of our current writing assignment?
That's okay, because I'm going to tell you guys anyways. But the first reason is it reduces clarity. So when we have wordy sentences, excess words can make it harder for our readers to kind of understand what we're saying. And remember how whenever we talked about clarity, vagueness equals confusion. Do you guys remember that example I gave you from that author? They said, they were talking about a bush of kittens, and they said a plethora of puerile terrestrial creatures. I had to write that down because I couldn't remember it because it was weird and confusing. None of us had any idea what they were saying, so it's kind of along those same lines. So another reason is it's going to waste your reader's time. So wordy writing takes longer to read, and it can frustrate or bore your reader, especially if the message could be delivered more effectively. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been sitting in class, not this one, but you're like, can this person get to the point? Can we get there already? But when you're writing in a wordily way, your reader is going to feel like the student sitting in the never-ending lecture. So you need to be as clear and concise as possible. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about some common wordiness errors you guys might run into while you're writing. But The first error is redundancies. Does anyone here know what the word redundant means? Yeah, not needed. So redundancies occur in our writing when we use expressions that repeat the same thing without really adding anything to the meaning of the sentence. So, for example, 8 a.m. in the morning. Why is this wrong? Yeah, so we don't need them to tell us in the morning. This time key says 8 a.m. We can leave that other part out. And then due to the fact that, what is this a really long way of saying? What is this really long? It's one word. Because, yeah, very good. It's just a really long way of saying because. And then the fact of the matter is, what about this? What's a shorter way we could say that? Does anybody know? If you don't, it's okay. It's just a really long way of saying in fact. So, and then I have hyperlinked a list of other common errors for you guys. These have been compiled by the New York Times, so you guys can reference these while you're doing your 100-word memoirs. Okay, and then the other error is needless or unintentional repetition. So, can somebody read the example on the board for a dojo point?
I volunteered to coach illiterate adults who did not have much to.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. So, what's wrong with this sentence?
It already tells you that the adults somehow have to read.
Yeah.
Like they didn't need to say it twice.
Yeah, because the word illiterate means not having the ability to read. We don't need that extra sentence there on the end. And then, can somebody read the second example for me? Okay, that's fine. I can read it, but I have been playing soccer most of my life, and it has played a significant role throughout my life. What's wrong with this?
They didn't need to mention how they've been doing it for a lot of their life.
Yeah, it sounds kind of clunky, doesn't it? I don't think we need to mention my life twice in this sentence. We could definitely condense it and make it better so that our writing sounds a little more smooth. Okay, so the next error we're going to talk about are lazy verbs. So this is another common error. So lazy verbs are verbs that are weak or too general, and they kind of make our writing feel clunky or less engaging. Some of the common culprits here include passive voice, so using was written by instead of the active verb wrote. The example on the board is the paper was written by me, followed by I wrote the paper. Before we move on, does everyone here have a clear understanding of what passive voice is? Thumbs up for yes, sideways kinda, thumbs down if I have no clue what you're talking about right now. I gotcha. And just in case you're still confused, a really good way to look for this is if your object is coming before your verb. So our object here is paper. Our verb is written. So as you can see, this object is coming before our verb. So when you're writing, look for that. That's an easy way to remember it. And then another culprit is the overuse of to be. So my sister has clicked to reply to my text would be better written as my sister replies to my text promptly. So in short, overusing forms of to be can make our sentences sound weak or wordy, and replacing them with more specific action verbs like replies can make our writing a little more clear and more engaging. Any questions before we move on from that? Do we understand what lazy verbs are? Okay, so there's one more culprit with lazy verbs, and that is nominalization. It's a big word. Has anybody here ever heard of nominalization? No? That's totally okay. I didn't expect you guys to know it, but nominalization is when you're taking a verb or an adjective and you're turning it into a noun. So it's a process where an action or a description ends up becoming a thing or a concept. So in this sentence, oh, I totally went past the line. Margot made a distortion of the story, which made her plot difficult to follow. So right here, made a distortion. This is the nominalization because the verb distort has become the noun distortion. So using the noun here is adding extra words and it's making our sentence less direct, which is what we want to avoid. So We have our revised sentence. Margot distorted the story, which made her plot difficult to follow. So here, our verb, distorted, is directly expressing our action, which is making our sentence clear, more concise, and just overall easier to follow. So, alrighty. Last error, and then you guys don't have to listen to me talk at you anymore, promise. But we have add nothing adjectives and adverbs. This one is kind of in the name, but these adjectives and adverbs add nothing to a sentence. They're redundant, they're nonsensical, or we just don't need them. So, can anybody read this example on the board, please?
Glenn yelled loudly for help after he saw the two cars.
Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this?
You loudly because yelling is already loud.
Yeah. Has anybody here ever whispered and yelled at the same time? Is that something we've ever done? Yeah, no, I didn't think so. But maybe you can prove me wrong. But adding loudly after our verb here is just entirely unnecessary. We don't need it. And this is kind of in the same vein of saying something like, she whispered quietly. If someone's whispering, we already know they're being quiet. We don't need to say that they're doing so quietly. Or if I'm saying the runner sprinted quickly. If I'm saying the word sprinted, I know they're going pretty fast. I don't think I need to have that extra word quickly on the end there. So, better way to rewrite this was Flynn yelled for help after he saw the two cars collide. Take loudly out. We don't need it. Alrighty, so it's your turn. I need you guys to go ahead and get into groups of 3 to 4, and then I will explain the rest of the directions because it's going to be a little confusing if I'm trying to talk to you guys while we're shuffling around the room. So, groups of 3 to 4. You guys have to find a group. I'm sorry. We have to socialize today. Okay. I'm going to assume we're all in our groups of 3 to 4. I kind of expected everyone to move a little bit more, but that's okay. So for this assignment, you guys are going to pick one of the 3 articles. So we have Furby, is that you? She steals surfboards by the seashore. She's a sea otter. Or on the Coney Island boardwalk, it's the summer of snakes and a wallaby. If you guys click on the title, they're hyperlinked. You'll be able to access them. So once you guys have chosen an article with your group has to do the same article. One person can't be doing the Furby article or the otter article. You guys all need to be working on the same thing. But you're going to read the article with your group. As you read, I want you guys to look for any places where the author uses more words than necessary. Then you guys are going to choose a section from the article. This is 3 to 4 sentences. You guys can't just do a sentence or 2. It needs to be a significant section. And you guys are going to work as a group to make these sentences more wordy. You can do this by replacing terms, adding phrases, adding modifiers, pumping up your prepositions. You can do whatever you need to do to make your word count higher. You just can't change the meaning of the sentence or the context. I should still be able to take the same thing away from what I'm reading. So once you guys have rewritten that with your groups, by the way, you guys can do this on paper. You can do it on your Chromebooks, whatever you're comfortable with. Just keep in mind you're going to be trading these with another group. So once you guys have your wordy rewrites, you're going to switch and then you're going to revise. You're not revising what you just wrote. You're revising another group's. Does this make sense? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thumbs up if it makes sense. Okay. I'm going to be walking around to help you guys and just kind of hear what you're saying. So if you do run into questions or you guys get stuck, I'm going to be here. So, and I'm also going to keep these on the board so you guys can look up at it while you work.